There are 7 signs that a covert narcissist will act out in a relationship in order to get what they want. Yeah, and these people are difficult. Okay, let's start with that. If you don't understand narcissism, there's a lot of armchair therapists on Instagram these days that just think they're just throwing around the word, okay? And there's actually, quite a bit of nuance here. And in these 7 signs, I'm going to talk about some of the nuance that you want to look out for so that if you're in a relationship with someone like this, you probably want to think about leaving, all right? And number 3 is one of the most important kind of signs or ways in which they act out that is super intense. And then I'm going to give you a little bonus tip at the very end that it's something that the covert narcissist requires, that if you don't get it right, they go into a rage and they'll just like cut you out of their life, or they'll just shame the shit out of you, or they'll just go silent. All right. So here we go. Okay. First of all, covert narcissism, there's overt and covert. Okay. Overt is more exhibitionist narcissist who thinks that they're the greatest thing in the world. And those are often famous people, for example. Covert narcissism is more hidden, but there's the same level of grandiosity, right? So sign number 1, the first way in which they act out is through passive-aggressive behavior. Sulking, refusing to talk, doing things that they know will get back at and annoy the other person. They'll send really snarky text messages. They will send really mean text messages. And they will do things that spin it around to make you look like the bad guy, right? Second thing they do in terms of acting out is they blame. They blame other people, and they have a very difficult, if not impossible, time taking personal responsibility. They make excuses for their own behavior. In other words, they get very defensive, and then they try to spin it to make you look like it's your fault. Third sign, this is the big one, is playing the victim. And the covert narcissist usually play the victim to get sympathy and to get people to like them and feel sorry for them. They make false claims, they exaggerate their problems, and they make it look like the world and others are out to get them. They often are people who can't get over their injuries with their parents. They continue to blame an ex for all their problems. Okay, this is classic covert narcissist. I did an interview with Stan Tacken on the 2 types of narcissism. We'll link that here if you want to get into that. The fourth thing is criticizing others. This is similar to blame. Criticizing others is sort of a way that they get to feel superior of talking down about other people. So they act intelligent, they act like they know that they're right and other people are wrong. So it's this sort of self-righteousness that their way, their political beliefs or their views or whatever it is right and better. All right. 5, one of the ways they act out, the 5th one is withdrawing. They often withdraw from others. I mean, they can be explosive, but they often withdraw and retreat and go into isolation because they're so insecure. And their sense of self is so incredibly fragile. 6th thing is the ways in which they act out is being secretive, not telling you the full story, leaving major details out, or leaving things out completely from their past. I don't want to talk about it, or, oh, that's in the past, or whatever. They're not, because they haven't healed from their past, it's shameful and embarrassing to talk about their past and how jammed up they are about their past. And they'll talk about their past in such a way, this isn't secretive, they'll talk about it in more the victim way. Poor me, I went through all this hard stuff. Can you believe it? The other person was wrong. Those people are wrong. I'm right. Kind of vibe. And then the 7th thing is can engage in self-destructive behavior. So the extreme here is suicide, right? Steps down from that are addictions, drugs and alcohol, violence, stealing, right? Eating disorders, other kind of self-harming situations, putting themselves in risky situations that are just straight up not good for them. Sometimes they do it to punish themselves, and sometimes they do it to get attention from other people. Now, I've studied personality disorders reading James Masterson. I got a little bit of this in graduate school, and then I've interviewed plenty of people on the podcast about this. And covert narcissism falls under this umbrella called personality disorders. And I'll probably do some more videos here. And the reason I think it's important, I'm not doing this because, people, these are bad people. If you understand personality disorders, a personality quote, disorder means it's a personality injury of the self, usually between 0 and 3 years old. And so in a way, these people didn't have a lot of choice. They grew up with very complicated relational patterns and dynamics with their caregivers or parents. And it was incredibly confusing to them, mean, neglectful, traumatic. And in addition, they had whatever traumas that any normal person has. And then they have their attachment injuries. So there's actually a lot going on here that is very difficult for the covert narcissist to heal, which is why their basic thing of acting out is a defense against cultivating their true self. So they created all these strategies, what Masterson calls the false self. I don't like that term because it's not like there's nothing false about it. It's real, but it's a strategy. It's like a mask to get by and survive their childhood. They developed all these manipulative and defensive coping strategies to survive their environment. And now they're an adult in a relationship with you, or they're on your team, or they're in your family, and they're very fucking hard to work with. One of the telltale signs really that we didn't talk about, but it's along with blame, is they have such a hard time taking any personal responsibility for mistakes they make. They will spin it. They're so defended because personal responsibility requires the self to activate the true self deep down inside, underneath and behind the strategic or false self. And in order for the covert narcissist to actually heal, they have to get into the true self and develop it so that they have choice between their strategies and their true self, and they actually have agility and fluidity between the two. And so you can actually be in a relationship with them. But very few covert narcissists will actually do this deep inner work because it's so annihilatory for them. It's so threatening, it's so scary, it's so hard. And they're mostly unconscious to all of this that I'm talking about, right? Because they don't think they have a problem, so why would they study this video or study themselves or read a book about it? Because they don't think there's an issue. That's what's so hard about these people. Okay, more in a future video on how to extract yourself from a relationship like this, or how to deal with these people, or what they need to do to heal. In the meantime, thanks for subscribing to my YouTube channel here. Make sure you watch that other video, the 2 types of narcissism, and we'll see you in the next video.